The very first thing you need to do is initialize the printer. Start the software and you'll notice that on the left hand side you'll see up. If you haven't added the printer, you need to go into the settings and do that beforehand. First thing you do is you click the little initialize printer, and that sets it up and gets it ready to do anything else. You can't do anything with the printer until you click on the initialize printer. You'll see that it jumps up and it will test all of the limits. It'll test vertical and left and right. Once that's complete, we can do a calibration. Calibration is important because temperature will cause that aluminum plate to warp ever so slightly. So I recommend you do this every time that you do a print. First thing you need to do is to pull the little magnet off, and you'll see at the bottom how you can push the slide down and it pops out a little calibration tip. One thing, you have to push that back in before you can print because it covers the print head. Next thing you do is you go down to the bottom and you select the calibration. Go ahead and click auto, and what you have to do is go over and it'll pop up on the screen. You couldn't see it in this capture for some reason, but it'll tell you to touch the probe. Make sure that the probe is extended under the print head. Touch it and it will go and do its thing. It does a 9-point calibration. And you'll see it touch. And it'll move to the next position and touch again. Does this in 9 different places on the plate. If you don't do this, you may have adhesion issues, or it will not stick properly to the plate and it won't be properly aligned. I just found it easier to do this. Take 2 minutes, do the calibration before you do any print. And there it's done. You'll see it'll show you the 9 different spots on the screen. I usually check and make sure that they're reasonable numbers. If you have something that's like 2 millimeters or 1.5 millimeters, it didn't detect something properly, and so you need to go back and double check that. And once it's complete, here you'll see it thinks about it for a moment. Then all you have to do is just to accept those values with hitting the confirm button, and that's it. Next thing you need to do is to put some filament in the machine. Again, make sure that you've withdrawn the tip. See how the green is up on the left? Take your filament. I always try to cut with a pair of snips to make a nice clean cut. If it's jagged or sideways, sometimes it doesn't feed properly. You feed it in the top, and the next thing you need to do is make sure that it goes all the way down into the feed head. Did you see how I had to wiggle it a little bit to get it to go into the feed head? Right there. So just make sure it's fed all the way in, and then on the software hit the extrude button. It'll take a minute, it'll heat up. Kind of sped it up here for you a little bit, and once it does that, you'll see it'll start spitting a little bit of filament out of the bottom. It does have to heat the print head up sufficiently, so this takes a minute. You don't have to do this every time, of course. It goes up through the bottom in that little plastic tube and around the top. Once it feeds through, you can slip the tube back into the proper position. I'll show you that here in just a second. Once the temperature gets hot enough, it starts extruding. You'll see a little stream of plastic coming out of the bottom of the print head. I can tell I should have sped this up a little bit more for you. Again, watch, and it beeps and lets you know that it's warm enough, and it'll start extruding, and you'll see. Be careful, don't touch the print head. The print head is very hot. I'm not actually touching it, I'm just showing you that the plastic's coming out. Once the plastic's finished coming out, you can click the button again to stop, or see the stop button there on the right, and that's all you need to do. It's loaded and ready to go. You can see how I pushed the little plastic tube back into the holder as well. You'll want to do that. It's not absolutely necessary, but it helps protect the filament from breaking. Then you can just take that little piece away. Here I'm putting the plastic tube back in, and you are ready to print. Again, in order to do this, you've got to have the calibration probe withdrawn. Here's how you take the filament out. It's basically the opposite. Pull the plastic tube up so you can see the filament sticking out. Click the withdrawal button. It'll heat up, and once it beeps, it's telling you that it's warm enough. It starts reversing it back out, and you can gently pull until it pulls the filament out. There you go. And you can then go and insert a different color or whatever you want to do there. And the last step is to print. Once you've done all these other steps, you can add this. I just inserted an STL. Again, I'm checking to make sure that the calibration is removed from under the tip. These settings are basically how much fill you want it to be. The more fill, the stronger the piece. Generally, I do about a 15 or 20. If I want something really strong, maybe 35% infill. Once you do that, and you decide how you want it to work, you can, the other options here, you can play with those where it says different things about whether it has a raft or not. I usually do a raft, particularly with this build plate. It makes it stick a little bit better. And then once you click print, it'll take a minute to warm up. Once it's warmed up, you'll see that it goes and fires away. And hopefully you'll get your first print. I would recommend the very first couple of prints that you do, watch it carefully, because if it detaches from the plate, it can stick to the bottom of the print head, and then you have a big mess of plastic underneath the print head. But make sure that it's actually adhering to the build plate and it's not too cold. Enjoy.